Hey guys, welcome back to another video on the Spurs channel. Hope you're still enjoying your Saturday. It's still miserable outside, it's still rainy, but hopefully got some news to brighten their day a little bit. So we're talking a little bit out today about a potential Kane replacement. I say potential, we'll talk about a few of them if I'm honest. We also talk about the midfield situation as well as the defence situation, okay? Just an FYI, I'm not talking about Tapsoba. I'm not talking about Van der Ven. There is no updates on them. So before you think it's them, it's not. Sorry to ruin your mood if that is going to ruin your mood. But let's start with the man on the thumbnail, Ivan Toney. So this came from Miguel Delaney, very good source in the football world, very, very good source. And he said that Spurs really like Brentford striker Ivan Toney, but would more likely be one if Harry Kane leaves on a free next summer, given his suspension. I think that's a kind of a given that if Kane was to leave, I'd assume Ivan Toney will be on the list. It's a difficult one for Ivan Toney because genuinely the suspension does really kind of hamper a lot of things. I mean, he's got, I think it's an 8-month suspension, and that does mean towards the back end of the season he'd probably be back for the last sort of few games. I reckon, off the top of my head, not gonna try and work out when he actually is going to be back, and nor do I care that much. But I spent time talking about this in another video. I do see him as the perfect Kane replacement. Prem proven, scores a lot of goals, plays a similar styles to Kane, a little bit more athletic, can take a set piece as well, which is always quite nice. So I do see him as genuinely a fantastic replacement for him. Yes, the betting issue in theory is an issue. Do I see it being an issue when it comes to Kane's situation this summer? Yeah, well, obviously we're not going to sign him this summer. You're not going to sign a player for 60 million when he's not going to be playing for another 8 months. But when we look at the Kane situation, we look at obviously the main port of call is keeping him, right? That's the aim of Daniel Levy. You know, if you don't think it is, it definitely is. It's either keep him or make the money that you want with a figure in mind that you have. I think West Ham showed it perfectly this summer. This is what we want for Declan Rice. You will pay it. If you don't pay it, he's not leaving. And Arsenal putting in little small bids, and Man City put a little bid in there. But man, West Ham held firm. It was, I want this money. Come and meet me at this valuation. Arsenal met him at the valuation. He then moved to Arsenal quite quickly. When we look at the situation with Kane, it'll be, this is the figure that we want. Meet this figure. If you don't meet this figure, he's not going. I can see why people think we should cash in on him and things like that. But people are talking about cashing in for 80 million. No, the bid right now I think stands at about 80 million. We can easily get more for Kane than that. So I'd assume if we're going to be selling him, it'd be about 100 million. I think the valuation's even higher, but we'll see. But yeah, Ivan Toney being on the list is something that I talked about the other day, and it wasn't something that was publicised. So I told you so. I beat the curve. It's always quite nice to say. Obviously, we talk about Kane leaving. This came from Matt Barlow in the Daily Mail, and he said that Spurs are preparing contingency plans for if Kane does leave the club, with Fiorentina's Arthur Cabral amongst options being considered, although Ange Postecoglou is still planning the season with Kane up front in his team. I would always say, look, plan for Kane to be the guy this year. He's already in the club, right? You work with definitives. Definitives is he's here right now. Yet he might not be here in a couple of months, but he's here right now. You plan for now. You have a backup plan in place. You know, that's where Daniel Levy steps in. That's where Scott Munn is there to say, well, you've got Kane right now, but if something comes in, we're drawing up a list and we want your help to draw up this list. We draw up this list. Right, let's put them in order in who you prefer. If he leaves, we pull the trigger at number 1. All right, I think that's how any competent club runs. Do we run like that? Sometimes, I think. I wouldn't sit there and say all the time, because we go, well, here's the list. You want one? Well, one's going to cost a lot of money. How about 13? 13's quite cheap. Do you want him? It's like, you know what I mean? You don't always get what you expect and what you should deserve as a Spurs fan. But Arthur Cabral, I'm not going to sit here and know a lot about him. I'd assume, say that because he's a Fiorentina player, he's the guy that replaced Vlahovic when he moved from Fiorentina to Juventus. But it does look like there's a real long list of people that are looking to replace Kane. I think we've always talked to Ivan Toney, Arthur Cabral, Udinese's Beto, Juventus's Vlahovic, Jonathan David at Lille, Kolo Muani at Frankfurt. There's probably more, but just off there and there straight away, that's the list, right? I'm still going to say Kane's going to stay. I still will say that, and maybe it's the optimist in me that thinks he will stay. Obviously, I want one of our best ever players to stay, England captain, the only guy that we've had as a world-class player since Bale. If he is to go, who would I want? Well, Ivan Toney would be the guy that I want, and he would be miles clear of everyone else for who I want. Yeah, the issue I have obviously is the ban. I think for me it could be someone like Jonathan David. I like Jonathan David. I think he's a real talent. I think the only issue I have with someone like Vlahovic is he's not really set the world alight at Juventus, and Juventus wants 70 odd million euros. Thereabouts, you know. Don't know a lot of Artur Cabral. Kolo Muani looks like a real talent, but he's going to cost pretty much the same as what Kane's going to go for. And that's a big risk. So it's a difficult one, really. I think had Kane had 2 years left on his deal and we're going to say, look, we'll sell you next summer, then Ivan Toney would be perfect. It would make so much sense, but it's kind of how the lay of the land, right? Talking about, let's go defender first. So we know about, we obviously want centre-halves to come in. We know about the Ashley Phillips situation, but also know about the fact that Davinson Sanchez, Jaffa Tanganga and Joe Rodon are all able to leave the club this summer. Let's talk about the number one on that list, Davinson Sanchez. So Davinson Sanchez is not short of interest. So the host of European clubs, including Real Betis, Strasbourg, Galatasaray, Spartak Moscow, Fenerbahce and Villarreal, have held discussions. The fee is mooted to be between 10 and 13 million. It's called 10 to 15 million. It's easier to work within that range. We're talking 6 clubs there, right? 6 clubs. Now, Strasbourg are owned by the Todd Bowley Group, so we know they've got money, okay, which is always a nice sign. I think they'll bump up the price a little bit. There's a lot of good clubs there as well. That, you know, when you think of teams like Villarreal have had some decent European success recently. Galatasaray and Fenerbahce have always been a team that is quite well known on the world stage. You know, Betis could get some good players in their club. I mean, Strasbourg I don't know a lot about, and Spartak Moscow I don't really know much about. But I can't lie, because of the fact that we've got 6 teams on that list, that should be a bidding war. We should be looking to... I don't mind if we hold on to him for a few more weeks, just to bring out as many pennies as possible, because we know he's going to go. It's different with certain players saying, we need to get him gone out the door, Davison, because he's got a bit of a bidding war, you can use the time against all these teams to kind of say, look, well, you've offered 10, but they've offered 11, so you need to, come on, help, get in here. Meet 11 or beat 11 at least. Or, look, they've offered 11.5. Come on, you've got to beat that now. And before you know it, it reaches 13.5, 14, 15 million potentially. So for me, I think this is a really nice position to be in, that a player is wanted by other clubs of our player who are happy to sell, and there's a lot of them. It's a good position to be in. So that's the update about Davinson Sanchez leaving. So looking at the midfielder, and I talked about Douglas Luiz potentially from Villa, in case Pierre Højbjerg obviously goes off to Atletico Madrid. So here's an update. It's not a great one, because Tottenham will target Douglas Luiz if Pierre-Emile Højbjerg departs. However, Arsenal are eyeing up a fresh move for Brazilian, which would leave Spurs embroiled in a tussle for the player's signature. Conor Gallagher's option, also an option for Postecoglou, but a move for him would be difficult due to the fact that Chelsea don't want to strengthen a top 6 rival, which I talked about in another video. Now, the way I look at this is, where would you get more game time? Probably us, if I'm honest, if you're Douglas Luiz. Arsenal are in the ascendancy right now. They're a much better club. I'm happy to say. I'm not going to sit here and be like they're not, because they are. At the end of the previous season, we were the better club. And it's funny how football can change so quickly, but they're going to obviously be deploying Havertz as a number 8 role. Obviously, Odegaard's the captain, not kick him out of the team. And they got their most expensive signing ever at number 6, as Declan Rice. So he would look to be getting into the team at Spurs a little bit more. Obviously, Bentancur's injury. Got Basuma, but other than that, you got Maddison, but Maddison could be playing wing potentially. There is opportunity for you to have game time in the Spurs midfield. Look, I would love Douglas Luiz. I said it previously. I think he'd be a great signing. I actually think he probably would stay at Villa, if I'm honest. I just got this feeling he would. I've got a feeling that, you know, that I think it's difficult. I think when we look at this midfield, I think we'll probably only be bringing in, you know, 1 or 2 people into that area, and they'll probably be young. Because when I look at this next story from Marca, and it says that Giovanni CELSO stay at Tottenham under Postecoglou is not ruled out. Interest from Napoli, Betis, Barcelona, Aston Villa, if the player he is to leave, the club is confirmed. Well, I don't know, Douglas, LUIZ, CELSO, you know, I don't know. I don't think it'll happen, but I thought CELSO played really well in the first preseason game against West Ham. I'm actually interested to see how he does tomorrow. I talked about it in a video that I released not long ago. Do check it out if you haven't seen it. He's an interesting one, CELSO, who he is. You can tell there's talent there. It's just about how you draw it out of him. He does it at Argentina. He shows you flashes. He does it. He's done it in Spain. He's done it in France. He's just not consistent enough. But potentially this could be a system for him, and that's why I think Postecoglou's taken his time on him to really see what he's got there. And just a little one on Kane to end the video. And it came in from Sky Sports News that Al Hilal, the Saudi Arabian club, have held talks with an intermediary about signing Harry Kane. I understand buying. I wouldn't understand that, but it does make me chuckle. It did make me laugh earlier. But anyway, guys, that's the end of the video. Drop a like on the video if you did enjoy it. Hit me in the comments section. Kane's to leave. Who's the replacement that you would have in place for him? Think about either this summer or next, how you would go about it. Subscribe to the channel if you are new and hit the bell notification for more. But anyway, guys, that's the end of the video, and I'll see you all very, very soon. Take care, lads.